This is a robbery for the Cowboys, as with Jaire Alexander being released from the Packers, the Cowboys look to pounce on a top-tier cornerback. Ryan Shottenheimer talked about this possibility at Minicamp. We tell you what he said and all the latest right here on Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you joining us. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button where you're placed for Cowboys news, rumors, and updates. Jaire Alexander, we know he was released from the Green Bay Packers a couple of weeks ago. And whenever a high-profile guy like this is released, the Dallas Cowboys always seem to be mentioned. Now, whether that's because of needs or more because of the Dallas Cowboys, well, that's kind of always subject to interpretation. This time, though, I think it's probably more towards needs than anything else. The cornerback room is pretty good. You got Deron Bland and Trevon Diggs as your two starters, which, great. I have really no worries about them. However, the depth is kind of a question, especially when Trevon Diggs is coming off surgery. I wouldn't mind having a Pro Bowl level cornerback as my depth option. And so that's where we go into in today's video. Cowboys cornerback need make Jaire Alexander a must call. So, obviously other people think it is a need. What exactly would the Cowboys be getting out of Jaire Alexander? Well, first we have to look at the Cowboys roster and why exactly this move would be made and why it would work. We go into the first quote here from Jeffrey Knox of Newsweek saying, quote, "Deron Bland and Trevon Diggs are both capable starters, but no one can guarantee that Diggs will be in the lineup week 1 when the regular season opens on the road versus the hated Philadelphia Eagles. Late last year, he underwent surgery to repair cartilage in his knee," end quote. Okay, so obviously Trevon Diggs coming off an injury, coming off a surgery, there's not a guarantee he will be readily available for week 1. That's step 1. However, you did draft a cornerback in round 3, but he's coming off an ACL tear. Quote from Jeffrey Knox again of Newsweek saying, "The injury concerns don't end there. Dallas selected Trevon Revel Jr. during the 3rd round of the most recent NFL draft. He was considered a first-round talent, and he slid, and did so because of an ACL tear. Depth is a huge issue if those two miss time," end quote. That tells me all I need to know about the Dallas Cowboys and their depth in the cornerback room, and why they should sign Jaire Alexander. Yes, you do have very capable cornerbacks in Deron Bland and Trevon Diggs. Yes, Trevon Revel Jr. was projected a first-round pick, and when he is healthy, he could be a very good cornerback. But it's not the health it's not their capability to play on the field is what I'm worried about. It's their ability to stay healthy. Now, that's not to say Jaire Alexander is the most healthiest guy either. But when you have a Pro Bowl level quarterback as a depth option, that's a pretty good option. And especially when, yes, this guy has only played 1 full season in the past 4, that maybe makes it a little easier for him to be a depth piece in some ways. He's not going to play every game. Hopefully that limits the injury issues, and in some ways can help the Cowboys as well kind of manage injury issues throughout their entire cornerback room. But in his most recent full season back in 2022, 56 total tackles, career-high 5 interceptions, and 14 passes deflected. Now, even in last year, 2024, just played 7 games. However, 2 interceptions, 7 passes deflected. This guy is a Pro Bowl level cornerback, and when he is on the field, he is still that Pro Bowl level cornerback. However, he just hasn't been on the field that much. But if you bring him in with the Dallas Cowboys, he is a post-June 1st cut, going to be relatively cheap, and you sign him as a depth piece. You sign him as a guy that maybe he does end up being a starter week 1 while Trevon Diggs is out. Maybe he ends up still being a depth piece on week 1 if Diggs can play, or if Trevon Revel Jr. is going to go. Who knows? But with this, you get a guy who is available to be signed, to be a Pro Bowl level cornerback, and to be someone who can go out there, compete, and be a guy that you're trusting whenever Trevon Diggs does need to go sit for a play or two. It just makes me more comfortable with the cornerback room. To be quite honest, it makes me more fulfilled in some ways with this cornerback room. Yeah, that's not the right word, but just more comfortable knowing that I have the depth pieces there. And that's where I ask you the question of, would you sign Jaire Alexander? Let me know down in the comments section. Is this a guy you'd like to see in a Cowboys uniform come week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know down in the comment section. Week 1 is also just a big topic for me just because it's it's Thursday Night Football. The lights are going to be on. It is going to be a very big game. And for the Cowboys, listen, they know what their seasons have been in the past 5 years. The expectations have not been met. If they can go out there and take out the Eagles in Game 1, that could really, really start up a really, really good season. So that is something to definitely monitor. Now, Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, we always know when a free agent like this, he's linked to the Dallas Cowboys, well, they asked Schottenheimer about it, and he commented on the possibility of signing Jaire Alexander. And so, what exactly did he say? Well, first, I want to go to some prerequisites here from let's go back a quote here. Josh Sanchez of Dallas Cowboys SI saying, quote, "Naturally, when minicamp opened up on Tuesday, June 10th, head coach Brian Schottenheimer was asked about the possibility of adding Alexander to the roster. While Schottenheimer skirted around the question, he didn't completely rule it out," end quote. Okay, so he didn't rule it out, and he did definitely skirt the question. That's where that quote comes from, right here. He skirted it. Let's be honest. Brian Schottenheimer on Jaire Alexander saying, quote, "Oh, we monitor everything. I'm not going to get into specifics of what our conversations will be like, but we're always looking." Okay, that gave me nothing. That really do much for me in terms of, oh yeah, we like Jaire. We needed some cornerback room. I think honestly, and probably the smart move, they're waiting on Trevon Diggs to see how healthy he is going to be, and maybe even closer to the preseason. I still think the Cowboys are the most likely team to sign Jaire, to be quite frank with you. I think he fits the role with the Cowboys well, and in some ways he seems like a Cowboys player. I can't really put my finger on why, but that just, in my head, he seems like a Cowboys player. So, if you go out and sign Jaire, you have a Pro Bowl level guy come week 1 when talking about this Dallas Cowboys roster that you're not really having to worry too much about putting him out there if Trevon Diggs cannot go. And in a lot of ways, say Trevon can go, you've got a guy who you can put in there and slot in easily. Now, it also has to work for Jaire, and he wants to be a starter, which rightfully so. He deserves it, as he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL since he has broke onto the scene. But at the same time, the Cowboys saying, hey, we want you to play for us. We're going to give you good minutes. Like, it's going to be a rotational thing. I wouldn't mind saying that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Trevon, I love Deron Bland, but I think if you throw Jaire Alexander in the mix, that makes this one of the best one of the best, maybe at least one of the better cornerback rooms in the entire NFL. And so there's a couple things to kind of talk about with Jaire, and it's kind of interesting when we talk about it. And here is the quote. Quote, "The team was active in free agency and on the trade market to improve its roster, so adding a big name post-June 1st cut is in the realm of possibility. Keep your eyes peeled." Josh Sanchez again of Dallas Cowboys SI. He's right. The Cowboys were active all offseason, and they had a very good offseason. The first-round draft pick I didn't like, but besides the point, the offseason was very good for the Dallas Cowboys. George Pickens is a great pickup. Combining him with CeeDee Lamb, this team has the players and the capability to be a top team in the NFL. But sometimes you need to make moves like this. You need to go out there and take a risk on a guy like Jaire Alexander to improve your quarterback room and improve its depth. I would certainly applaud if 2 things can get done here in the next couple weeks. First one, get Micah Parsons on a new deal. We don't need this type of drama here for the Cowboys. And the second, get Jaire Alexander. I think he's cheap. I think it'll be easy. It'll be a perfect signing for this Dallas Cowboys squad. And quite frankly, I think it'd just be cool to see him in a Cowboys uniform after all those years in a Packers uniform. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. But yeah, Jaire Alexander, I mean, he's a very interesting guy, and he's a good cornerback. He is. And he hasn't played a lot, but in some ways, given the injury with Trevon Diggs, given the injury with Revel Jr., and given the injury history with Jaire Alexander, I think in some ways, if you make this like a rotational cornerback room for a little bit, it almost bodes well for them to be healthy come, crunch time later on in the season. At least I hope it's crunch time. If it's not, I'm going to be very upset about that. And so, but I think it would be a very good kind of depth optional piece to try and improve this team and make them honestly just more full, more of a combined and unit of a team in my mind. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Should the Cowboys go out? Should they sign Jaire Alexander? Is this somebody that you think would improve the Dallas Cowboys team? Let me know down in the comment section, but that does it for me. Again, as always, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest.